Welcome to Dear Sandy. I'm Sandy Galef, a member of the New York State Assembly, representing parts of Northern Westchester and parts of Putnam County. And I am so pleased to be here with these 5 young people today to talk about a program that we have in my assembly office, in my district office in Ossining. It's an intern program, and it's a wonderful opportunity for young people, whether they're in high school or college or beyond, to come and work in an assembly office for a period of time and to find out what government is all about, what we do with our constituents, how we promote different issues, how we develop legislation. And I think you'll get an idea after watching this program about some of the important things that the interns have done in my office during this last year as well as this last summer. And I'm so pleased that they're all here. And if you know anyone who might be interested in interning, you just give us a call. But I'd like to first introduce Alanna Powers, and she is here and been an intern this summer, and Brendan Zarkauer, who has also been an intern in the summer, and Catherine Purdy at the end here, and then up on the top, Jeffrey Guzman, who's been with me this summer. And you know, Ross Baroff has been with me throughout the whole year last year. So we welcome you all here, and I couldn't have done all the things that I've been able to do, or in our office do all the things that we've been able to do without all of your assistance. So Alanna, tell us a little bit about yourself, like where did you come from, where are you in school, how did you get interested in the intern program?
All right, well, I grew up in Mount Pleasant, so not in your district, but relatively close, and I know the Ossining area. But I learned about the intern program through my mother, who did some reporting actually on you a few years ago for The Guardian, I believe. Mm-hmm. So she sent me the intern newsletter back in April, I believe. But I'm going to school in George Mason in Fairfax, Virginia. I'm a junior, and I'm studying international relations with a concentration in international development and a double minor in French and communications.
Oh, so the communications aspect from the office is something
yes.
that has been good. We're not into international relations, although sometimes we think we are in all of that. And Brendan, you're going to go off to college this year.
Yes, I am. I just graduated Walter Panis High School this year. I grew up in your district in Cortland Manor, and I'm off to Binghamton University next year.
And how did you find out about our program?
I found out about it through an advertisement in the Journal News, and it sounded like a great opportunity to learn a little bit more about politics.
Mm-hmm. And you certainly did, I think.
Yeah.
And Catherine, how did you, where are you in school?
I'm a sophomore at Franklin Pierce University. It's in New Hampshire, and I'm studying mass communications there. I actually live in your district in Ossining, and I too saw it in the advertisement in the Journal News. And my parents thought it'd be a really good idea for me to do something like this, to get an internship while I was in college. So since your office is right near me, I thought this would be like a really good opportunity.
Right, and you were working at the same time too. Which many people are. They're interning in my office, mm-hmm. but also, have other kinds of jobs. And Jeffrey, you're in high school.
Yep.
Yes, but you've been doing great things for us.
Yeah, so I'm in the 11th grade at Hackley School, which is in Terrytown, although I actually live in White Plains. But I did live in Ossining for 1 year. And I heard about your internship program through one of my friends, Sam, who she goes to Hackley, and she's actually kind of been known as the recruiter for the internship because she's gotten some other Hackley alumni to go there as well. And aside from interning at your office, I've also been working at Open Door, which is a clinic in Ossining.
Right. So a lot of good experience this summer, right? Yeah. And Ross, you were with me, you started out last fall, I think I remember before the hurricane,
yes.
The superstorm came.
And all throughout the hurricane.
Right. Tell us about you.
Well, I'm going to be a freshman at Northeastern in a couple of weeks. I just graduated from Briarcliff High School, I live in your district, right by your office. I plan on majoring in computer science and business, but my brother has always been interested in politics, which piqued my interest, which made me decide to go looking for an internship, and I found your office.
Right. We actually have, I know we have 5 people here right now on the set, but we've actually had, I think, close to 15 people throughout the year that have interned in the office. So, you know, I've learned so much from all of you too, and the experiences that you have. Just, you know, who'd like to start and tell me about, maybe we'll start with Ross, because you were here during the year, which is a little different than the summer because we were in session. During a lot of the time that you were here. But you also started with the storm. Tell us about the storm.
Well, that was a very interesting experience, especially. I started out just doing like simple like filing stuff like before just when I got there, and a couple weeks into my internship, the storm happened. I lost power just like everyone else, so I decided to go in extra time during the day, and that's when I really got to start communicating with like the constituents, like started keeping track of like, all the problems when they called in, helping you out like with how like list all the issues, like get in contact with the utility companies, writing all the letters, and just really a lot of constituent interaction, which I never thought I would really get the chance to do.
Right, and we had, during that period of time, we had, I would say, consistency in phone calls. People that were really without power, couldn't get on their roads, couldn't get out of their house, no computers, no phones, you know, a little bit of nothing, right?
Yeah.
And at the end, and you also had the same problem yourself.
Yes, I was without power for 11 days, I believe.
Right, right. So we were writing up, and I think you worked on it after we had we did a newsletter to ask people about some of the issues that were brought to their, you know, that they thought could be more resolved with the utilities and so on. I think you worked on some of that too, if I'm correct.
Yes, I remember a lot of people calling up afterwards, like with all their ideas, also writing a response to the survey in the newsletter saying how we should bury all the lines, utility companies should be working more during the day, less like waiting for overtime, and just all different ideas that they had.
Right. Catherine, what were some of the things that you were working on in the office?
I worked on a lot of press releases and a lot of writing letters back to constituents. I actually didn't think that I was going to get those opportunities. I thought when I was going to intern, I thought a lot of my jobs would be making copies, filing, clerical work. I didn't think that I would actually get the chance to write press releases and letters, and I'm really surprised and happy that I got the chance to do that stuff and that you give those opportunities to the interns, because I didn't think that actually people like us like write back to constituents.
You all matter.
I just learned that.
Right, and one of the things, because you were a communications major, I know that Dana Levenberg, when she was my chief of staff, was trying to put together a press conference that we had kind of in front of a stationery store that was selling all kinds of interesting things. I think she had you scouting out.
Yeah, I scouted
out where
a
we should
location
go
for one of your press conferences, and that's something that I didn't think I'd have the opportunity to do.
Right. So what do you look at when you're scouting out for a press conference? Is it,
well, for that exact press conference, that was in front of a school, in front of a store, so I had to make sure that there was enough room for everybody because there was really only a sidewalk.
Right. And
just to make sure that we got both the store and how close it was to the school in perspective.
Right. Because that's some legislation that I don't think anybody here worked on exactly, but somebody else did, about that we'll put into legislative form in a bill this fall, so that we can start to try to see if we can get it passed. So that was great. Brendan, what were you working on?
I worked on a lot of similar things. I did a lot of the press releases and responding to constituent emails, but I also did a research project on something related to your bill about boating safety. I did research into the hazards regarding people who use unmotorized boats, and I'll have the opportunity tomorrow actually to present it to your legislative staff and yourself, and kind of like actually explain what issues affect that community, and especially their relationship to the people, to the motorized boats, and the people who are concerned with the legislation you have passed already.
Right, we got the legislation passed this year to, and the governor hasn't signed it, but he hasn't received it yet, so he can't sign it until he receives the bill. But it would require, starting with 18-year-olds, to have boat safety courses before they go out and navigate in our waters in the state of New York. So, but you're talking about those that are in non-motorized boats. So what's the impact of those in a motorized boat that's going really fast, and a non-motorized boat probably is a lot slower?
Yes, and obviously a non-motorized boat will usually travel at a slower rate than a motorized boat. The main, I used Coast Guard statistics and a study published by the state of California, and the main hazards normally reported by unmotorized boaters result from motorized boaters' actions. So it would be something that, like, my research has led me to believe that to combat unmotorized boaters' problems, the motorized boating classes can talk more about their relationship with unmotorized boaters.
So where did you, how do you do the research? You just turn the computer on and it all works, right?
Mostly on the computer, mostly on the internet. I was able to find a lot of the academic studies were published online in various places. So I found the Coast Guard has a lot of data on it, so I used the Coast Guard. I actually, I found some paper, like information from the Coast Guard as well. So there was a lot of information out there.
I think you actually, did you go with us out to City Island for the
Yes,
press
I did,
conference?
yeah.
Right. On the boating. We actually went all the way out to City Island because one of the individuals that were very interested in the boat safety course having it is some young people and an individual in Ossining that was killed because of people not knowing how to deal with boats safely, and had lost his life at City Island. So, and Alanna, you've been doing lots of different work, I think.
Yeah, I've pretty much like done everything that the office has to offer. Yeah, I've like written on some press releases, some letters to constituents. I worked on a research project just researching how bank loans have changed since the start of the recession, and like whether or not things have been changing, and a lot of the laws put in practice by the Federal Reserve. And I've also been helping Dana put together your October forum on casino gambling. So I've been in contact with a lot of people to be either pro or con on the forum.
Right. We're having a forum on casino gambling and some of the other constitutional amendments, but that will be on the ballot in November. But casino gambling is the big one. So how did you go about trying to find? I saw that list of these are the people we think are in favor of casino gambling. These are the people that we don't. So how did you do your research on that?
We first started just by like researching people who lobbied for the for or against the constitutional amendments, and like worked from there. And then we just found like groups, Gamblers Anonymous, that we contacted for maybe advice, or just the Raceway up in Saratoga. So like we either contacted them to see if they would be interested, or if they had anyone who they would believe to be interested.
And now we have a group of people that are coming to talk about casino gambling, which is really great. So, Jeffrey, what were you working on?
Okay, so like everybody else, I've written letters to constituents, and then I've also done a couple of research projects, and working on those projects has been really interesting because it's just amazing the wide range of topics that they can encompass, from a state bank to then a couple of more relatable topics. So one of them was having some sort of plate or sticker that would identify drivers who are just learning, and so that they could put them on their cars. And since I'm 16, I'm just getting my permit now, so I would be one of those drivers.
So what do you think about the idea?
Oh well,
Personally.
I think obviously it's a really smart idea because it would give other drivers, it would help other drivers identify this person's learning, so maybe I should stay a little bit further away from them. And also I've also worked on another project about the nutrition label and having it be a little bit more relatable to the public so that they could understand it better. And since I work at Open Door, and that's a health clinic, I've also talked to people who work at Open Door about it to see if they could give me some ideas on it. So it's just been really interesting being able to work between the two places.
Right. It's so interesting that you can sometimes attach,
Exactly.
issues, but you also, like I do, I reach out to friends and, maybe sitting around the dining room table with your parents, you get some ideas about these different things that are occurring. And so were there surprises at all? I mean, I think Catherine said something about you didn't think that you just thought that you'd be making copies and whatever.
I mentioned that I thought that I was just going to be making copies and filing and maybe even get a new coffee, but that was not what was part of the job.
Right.
It was more of, no, you have to do actual work. You're actually writing letters and writing press releases, and I was surprised, but I was happy that that was part of the job.
Right. Yeah, we tried to do that. I think probably everybody here has written one or two press releases or sometimes letters to the editor or, definitely to constituents, responses that you write the response and then I look at it and critique it or whatever, and then it goes out. We get so many emails. I think, Ross, you probably, when working there all year, saw the volume of emails that we get on different issues, right?
Unbelievable how many. It takes a while for us to start responding to all of them, even read all of them.
Right, it's hard, and there are times when, they're orchestrated emails that come in, from a group on a different topic. So what they usually do in the office is give me one copy, if it's the same, one copy, and then, then we write a response back. We have to think about you were probably looking up a lot of bills for me to find out what the bills were about, because we've got maybe 12,000 bills in a year, and I don't know what all the bills are that people write about.
Especially when they're writing an email or a letter and not saying the exact bill when you figure out what exactly they're talking about. There's reference one, but not give the number or the name of it.
Right. There's some generic letters that come. I just, they think, I want you to do this, that, or the other thing, but we don't really know what the bill number is and so on. Brenda, did you have any, anything that's a surprise or, constituents call, different issues?
One of the things that was most surprising to me, it just happened the other day, actually on Monday, when you gave me an article to read about how the Senate had the state Senate had just passed a bill concerning welfare spending and what you can and can't spend money on with money the government has given you. And we talked about the bill, and you asked me to do a little bit of research onto what it was. And after our discussion, you said that it's something you think you support, and you told me the phone number to call and what to say on the phone, and you were put on as a supporter of the bill. I thought that was really cool that I could be there for that discussion. And
Right. Because it's back to people will email you or send you a letter or phone and say, we want you to look at this, that, or the other thing, and I don't always know what it is. So we really have to research each part of it and then do an assessment actually of whether this is a good piece of legislation or not, because I might end up having to vote for it. It could get stuck in committee, and it could be that I will never vote on it, but because it's not in a committee that I'm on. But the chances are it might be around for a vote. And that one, it was about people that are on food stamps not being able to use the stamps for
alcohol, tobacco products, and lottery tickets.
Right, so very specific, and just saying, this is for food and beverages, not alcohol and so on. So I don't know, Jeffrey, was there something that, you said that there was a great connection with Open Door, but was there anything else that you were surprised about in the office?
Just the place where ideas for bills come from. Because, I've discovered working at your office that, even just from reading an article in a newspaper, that might spark an idea for a bill. So it's just amazing that it can just come from everyday things.
Right, it really can.
Yeah.
And you're in the office, but when I'm running around and, I was recently in a parade in Peekskill with a Purple Heart, I can be talking to somebody and get an idea for this is a problem. How can we resolve this? Yeah. And you're right. You just never know where an idea comes from. So, Alanna, did you have any surprises at all?
Yeah, I think the thing that surprised me the most was the level of commitment to the constituents. Actually, with all the citations, to the people. So for the birthdays, high school graduations, it was just a level of personal, that put you on that. It was just make it a little extra special and connect with everyone. I just like that aspect of it all.
Right. There really is, that's a really important thing, not just for a legislative office, no matter where you are, is to thank people or congratulate people on things that they have done or achieved, whether it's high school degree, because we do certificates to all of the people who graduate from high school. I think, Brenda, you probably got one
I
of
just
mine,
got one.
didn't you, this year?
Right before I read the article on the Journal News about your internship, I got one. I'm like, I've seen this name very recently.
That's really funny. So we did go out and we had some press conference. We did some things that you couldn't all go to each one of them. Was there anything in particular that you had a chance to go out into the field? Sometimes I know we had the governor come to town. And he was at SUNY, but I'm not sure that any of you were in my office at that day. And what happens is we sometimes don't know about these things until the day before, and whoever's in my office, we gather everybody up and go in a car and go wherever it is. But were you able to see anything else, any kind of experience outside of the office that was of interest? Wes, did you have one?
I got some
Yes.
very interesting experiences. I got to go with you to the State of the State earlier in the year.
Oh, that's right. That's
in
right.
Albany,
In January, right.
Where just listening to the governor's speech, and then afterwards, everyone at the luncheons was incredible. Also, just through going to some of the openings of other local assembly people, their offices, I've met some people, done some networking, where I ended up going to the Westchester Democratic Convention also, where I met up with you there. Some incredible experiences, hearing everyone talk, and also networking experiences.
Right. Do you read the paper differently now?
Yes.
You may all read the paper differently and say, I knew this person. Did we get a chance to take any of the rest of you any place? We recently we went to Green Chimneys, which was a great experience, but you weren't in my office at that point, and that's a facility over in Brewster that works with kids that have issues, maybe mental health issues and so on, autism, and it was a fascinating experience because it was a farm too, and we got to pick eggs. Jeffrey was talking about Sam, who is also an intern in my office, and she actually got pushed into taking the egg out from under the chicken, and so we had very fresh eggs. But was there anything else that you were able to go off to?
I went to basketball with you, so see Senator Gillibrand, Congresswoman Lowy, Congressman Maloney, so that was really cool because that was my first week in, and I got to meet all these great federal people who worked in Washington D.C. and I thought that was really cool.
Right. They were having a press conference under a tent in basketball, not the big tent, but a smaller tent, and those are wonderful opportunities, right, to go there. So, did you learn a little bit about state government and how it works? Whether you're going to ever be interested in state government is one thing, but did you have a little more of a feeling about how your state government works than you had before you came into the office? What do you think, Brendan?
Yeah, in a much realer way than I learned in school. When you learned about state government and any government's workings in a school setting, it feels more theoretical, but actually being in the office and seeing how things are introduced and the procedures that go behind all the things that you see outside the office, it was a much different experience.
Russ?
I came in knowing pretty much nothing about state politics, but
Nothing good.
Throughout the year, I would find myself outside the office, pretty much any conversation I would have, I find myself citing some random bill or citing some random law.
Your friends must have thought you were really...
I wouldn't just cite the law, I would cite the exact bill number. It's you're doing this now, but wait until, let's see if this gets passed. And
right.
I've seeing the inner working, especially when I went up to Albany, I learned a lot, started to actually really understand how it all worked and came together.
Right. So do your friends, how do your friends relate? When you talk about what you do, are they talking about these issues at all? Probably not.
No, working here definitely makes you want to be more politically active. It makes you want to know more about how your government works. Because once you know a little bit of something, you tend to want to know a lot about something. And that's definitely how I felt when I started working here. I was like, I want to know more about my district, about something that I can change. If all of these constituents are writing to you and to our Assemblywoman, why wasn't I writing about anything? It makes me want to go out there and change something and be a part of something more.
Right. Well, as you go along in life and things come up, I would hope that from the experience you realize that we really are human beings at the other end, and you can send an email or phone or write a letter, which we don't get a whole lot of those anymore. But you can really alert people to it, and I think you all know that once I get a letter on something, it's there's a discussion about it. So some things occur because of it, and then others it's just, well, let's think about it, let's wait and see, and then some ideas just don't fly, but it is, and you can be a part of it. So and I'm sure that I bet Jeffrey's gonna, when you go back to high school this year, are you gonna do anything different in your high school?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm actually the politics editor for our school newspaper.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
So yeah, and I had really been focusing on a lot of more national issues because they were more prominent. But now that I've been working in a district office, I definitely think that I would like to focus on a couple more local issues.
Because there can be some very interesting local issues that impact students a lot.
Exactly, yeah.
Right. Well, we have a lot going on with this whole testing and everything else. And not that the legislature gets so involved in it, but for those that are still in high school and middle school, there's a lot of testing that's going on, which is different. So do you think anybody would ever want to go into government in any way? Just, working for government or ever running for office, or that's something you wouldn't ever want to touch? What do you think, Alanna?
I was always more interested on like a federal level, but definitely not running for an office personally. I'm more of like an observer, not like just jumping right into it and like leader type. But I've always been interested in like working in like diplomacy. And it's always good to like know how just local governments work. So.
Right. Well, diplomacy, we have to do a lot in our office about being diplomatic about things when people call, and you sometimes might get a call when somebody's very anxious and upset, and you have to figure out how to adjust that temperament so you can really get to the issue. So, Brendan, what do you think you're going to do in your life?
That's a tough question.
Okay. It's too early on.
I'm not sure what I want to do in my life yet, but I would want to do something like yourself. I think good politicians get made when they do something that meaningful to them first and then go into public service. I think that tends to make really good politicians.
Right. A lot of us get into it because of issues and so on. I think I'm where I am because I got interested in certain issues, like through League of Women Voters, and it kind of led to this. But so Kat's probably going to do. What are you going to do? Do you
I'm
think
studying
in your life?
mass communications in college, and originally I wanted to do reporting and being on the news and stuff like that. But I never really thought of politics until now. But it's definitely something that I'm not going to push away from my life. But if I ever were to be in politics, I'd probably go towards the running for office rather than working behind the scenes, because I think that person has a lot of power, and it's something that's it's something that I'd like to do sometimes maybe.
And sometimes the politics of the government, if you're going into television or whatever, I mean that can be also worked together, in a different way. Use all these different skills. So Russ, what do you think you're going to end up doing?
Well, I plan on going into computer science and business, probably private security, but I definitely, after this year, want to stay involved with politics, like especially at the local level. Like, I never realized how vast it is, of like a community it is, and how interesting and intricate it is.
You think you'll do anything when you go off to college, that with a club or group or whatever? Is that something?
Yeah, I do plan on getting involved with the local politics once I get over there. Maybe in the school, maybe just in the city of Boston in general.
Right. And Jeffrey, you've got a while to go, so you have a couple of years to work on how to get to college, right?
Yeah. But ever since I've been little, I've been interested in politics, but I've always really just looked more at the federal level of politics. But definitely working in your office, I realized that, the local government is what affects people more really than the federal government. So I definitely think that I would aspire to, either run for office or work in a government office on a local level, and also working for my school newspaper, I've also been interested in journalism, so I'd also be really interested in some sort of political journalism as well.
Right. Well, I have to thank you so very, very much for for being on the program and talking about what you did this summer and during the year, and just for being such an important part of my life and the life of my assembly office and the constituents in my district that you have impacted, and things you've done actually on a statewide basis too, which you may not even think about, but it does spread its wings. So I just want to thank you, and if anybody would like to know more about my internship program, please give me a call at my office, 914-941-1111. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good evening.